He offered warmth to the alien girl, and her reaction changed everything. The third night on Delta 7 was always the coldest. Jace Navarro knew that now, though he wished someone had told him before he signed up for the terraforming scout mission. The rocky moon orbited a gas giant like a lonesome satellite, its atmosphere barely breathable, its landscape more rubble than soil, and its weather, well, cruel was a word that came to mind. It was just past midnight, and the frost had begun, forming inside the corners of his tent, which was why, when the movement on his perimeter sensor pinged, a soft but undeniable signal, he groaned and pulled his boots on anyway. He was the only human on this side of the ridge. His camp, set up near a collapsed mineral deposit, wasn't meant to attract anything but static. And yet, someone, or something, was out there. He grabbed his light rifle not because he planned to use it, but because being alone on an alien moon justified a bit of dramatic caution. He unzipped the thermal flap of the tent, stepped outside, and nearly slipped on the iced-over ground. The motion tracker beeped again. Jace scanned the area with his torch beam. It swept over boulders, red mineral piles, a few wind-etched spires, and then it landed on a figure, small, slumped, wrapped in something like woven cloth glittering faintly under the beam. He lowered the rifle. "Hey!" No response. He jogged forward, breath frosting in the cold. The figure didn't move. As he got closer, he could see it was a person. Not human. Humanoid, sure. 2 arms, 2 legs, a face. But the skin was faintly violet blue, and the ears tapered to a soft point beneath a hood. A tail, long and sleek, curled stiffly under the figure's wrapped legs. An alien. She was shivering uncontrollably. Her eyes fluttered open when he crouched beside her, and in them he saw panic, then wariness, then exhaustion. She hissed something in a language he didn't understand. Her lips were cracked, her breathing too shallow. Hypothermic, Jace realized. Okay, he said softly, lowering the rifle entirely and holding up a gloved hand. "I'm not going to hurt you. Just don't die on me out here." She blinked slowly. The wind picked up again, a low moaning whistle that made the ridge tremble. Jace didn't wait. He scooped her up, lighter than he expected, and carried her back to his tent. The tent's heater barely worked as it was. Designed for 1 occupant, it already struggled to maintain a livable temperature at night. But the alien girl would have died out there. And Jace Navarro wasn't the kind of guy to let someone freeze just because protocol didn't cover unexpected sentient guests. She stirred once inside the tent, eyelids fluttering as her body curled reflexively toward the heat panel. He wrapped her in the emergency foil blanket and activated the hand-warming packs from his kit. Still, it wasn't enough. Her fingers were icy, her skin paler by the minute. Jace hesitated only a moment. Then he unzipped his sleeping bag, climbed in, and carefully pulled her close beside him. The temperature inside the bag began to rise. He expected a lot of things. Maybe her to wake and panic, maybe to slap him, maybe for her tail to thump him in the face. What he didn't expect was for her to immediately shift, as if on instinct, tucking her head beneath his chin and releasing a soft sound, almost like a sigh. Her breath hitched once, then her body relaxed against him. She didn't speak again that night, but she lived, and that, Jace thought, was a pretty decent win for a Tuesday. The next morning, the alien girl sat curled near the heater unit, awake but silent. Her violet-blue skin had returned to a healthier shade, and her dark, metallic-looking eyes tracked every movement Jace made around the camp. He handed her a heated ration pouch. She sniffed it, poked it, and then took a cautious bite. That was something, at least. "I guess this makes you my first interstellar roommate," he said, breaking the silence. "You, got a name?" She looked at him. Then, after a pause, touched her chest lightly and said, "Reka." He smiled. "Reka. Cool, I'm Jace." She didn't repeat it, but her eyes softened. He mimed, pointing to himself. "Jace." Her accent bent the name in an oddly melodic way. Close enough. Reka said little else, but her actions made things clearer. she was intelligent, alert, cautious, but not hostile. She responded to gestures and seemed to understand context, even if the words were alien to her. Over the next 2 days, she helped reinforce the tent, fixed a broken drone with surprising dexterity, and pointed out 3 hidden fissures Jace would have walked into blind. So yeah, he thought. She was smart and very much not human. By the 5th day, the snow came. Jace hadn't even known snow was possible on Delta 7. The atmospheric changes must have been deeper than the reports predicted. His camp was now buried in powdery white drifts, and winds threatened to tear the tent free of its anchors. Reka, unaffected by the weather, stood outside watching the flakes fall like she'd never seen anything so strange. Cold, right? Jace said, wrapping his coat tighter. She extended a hand, catching a few flakes on her palm. Then she stuck out her tongue and let one melt on it. Jace laughed. Universal reaction. Can't not try it. She turned to him, blinking, then, shockingly, smiled. It was a small thing, but for Jace it was like the planet itself had lit up. Things changed after that. Reka began mimicking more of his speech, echoing phrases or repeating words. Her accent was strange, fluid, almost musical, but she was trying. Food. Hot, she said one evening, poking the stew with her spoon. Yep, Jace said. Hot food, better than freeze-dried bricks. Brick, she repeated, wrinkling. Her nose. No, he grinned. You catch on fast. Still, there was something deeper in her eyes, something unspoken. When she looked at the sky, it wasn't wonder. It was sadness. That night, as they shared the sleeping bag again out of necessity, Reka spoke more. Sky is closed, she murmured. Jace blinked. What do you mean? She tapped her temple. No link, no voice, no home. He frowned. You were part of a crew? She nodded slowly. Then in broken phrases, ship broke. Fire. Screaming. I run. Alone. Jace felt something tighten in his chest. She'd crashed here, been surviving alone, for who knew how long. You're not alone now, he said softly. She looked up at him. Not cold. No, he said. Not anymore. By the 8th day, the emergency beacon Jace had set up on day 1 started blinking. Signal received. Help was on the way. But he didn't feel the relief he thought he would. Reka stood at the edge of the ridge, her long cloak snapping in the wind. When she turned, her eyes held a question he wasn't ready to answer. What would happen to her when the others came? What would Earth officials do with a sentient alien girl who didn't speak fluent Standard and had no papers, no ID, and no known species classification? He didn't know, but he didn't like the options he imagined, and so the choice began to form in the back of his mind. Silent, but persistent. She wasn't just a guest anymore. She was his friend. The next morning, Reka didn't wake up in the... Teddy panic shot through him. He found her down in the ravine near the mineral deposit, standing beside the remnants of a shattered pod. Her pod, he realized. Scorched, twisted, long buried by time and dust. She touched its surface gently, whispered something. Jace stepped forward. Is this where you crashed? She didn't answer, but her expression was enough. Pain, regret, loss. He walked over and placed a hand on her shoulder. I don't know what's coming, he said quietly, but you're not facing it alone. She looked at him, eyes shining, and then, unexpectedly, she reached up and touched his cheek, a gesture of connection, of thanks, of trust.